After many successful years, also in 2023 we are going to continue with selling Windows 10 and 11 Pro retail keys. Get yours for $12.50 only. Click the link in the video description if you would like to purchase one. Welcome to this very special video. This will be the first Dungeons & Dragons video I've ever done in almost 10 years of the existence of my YouTube channel, because I think it's just would be a shame to miss out how the wonderful world of artificial intelligence can benefit you as a player or dungeon master in Dungeons & Dragons. I have been playing Dungeons & Dragons over 20 years now, all kind of versions like AD&D, Pathfinder, D&D 3, 3.0, 3.5, D&D 5 nowadays of course. Mostly always played it pen and paper style with the original books and dices and some kind of board where you can draw on. Which is perfectly fine of course, that works, it's old school, and yeah, if you like that you shouldn't necessarily do something digital if that's not really up your alley. So why should you care then for AI in combination with Dungeons & Dragons? Well, mostly because it makes these sessions so much more immersive, so much higher quality, and also so much easier with a lot of things actually. The first thing you might have in mind is ChatGPT when it comes to AI. Well, funny thing is you can use ChatGPT for all kind of D&D things. An example, describing quest items in full detail, towns, cities, stuff like that, how environments can look. But an example also, like I have here, write an original D&D quest for a small village. Let's just ask that ChatGPT and boom, almost, in seconds you will have a small D&D quest. And this can be implemented in one shots or, completely in your campaign. You can pretty much ask anything and ChatGPT regarding D&D related issues. So yes, absolutely, ChatGPT is very much usable for Dungeons & Dragons related stuff. Not everything is super fancy 2023 AI tools. I mean, some tools like this fantasy name generator already did exist for quite a long time, but nevertheless this is really handy instead of having to ask ChatGPT for all of this. But an example, if you want to have random names for your characters or NPCs, places, villages, those kind of things, can be used, an example, also with these older websites like Fantasy Name Generator. And then there are also some of the older existing websites, especially map generators. This is Azgaar, which can help you create world maps, which is a really nice tool, but also exists out there for longer than all these new AI tools. And also an older map generating tool I like to use quite a lot is the Watabou City generator. It allows you to actually create like cities, large cities, but also small towns, and you can, use all kind of markings, so you will get something like this. So this is a map I did create quite recently with this tool. The city is named Rundeer, which is a city I'm using in my campaign, and I did add some of the milestones myself afterwards, and it's still a very handy web-based tool as well, which was out there already before AI started to take over. So there are also many other tools still existing, like Inkarnate, an example, is a great tool, and Wonderdraft, but I think where we would like to go now is the interesting stuff, getting into AI. One of the most popular, and I would also say the most helpful features of AI are the many image generation tools. An example, OpenAI, the creators of ChatGPT, have their DALL-E image creation software, but also a very popular image creator is Midjourney. And I personally use Wonder, and mostly only because it does work very well on my iPhone and I can generate AI art pretty much anywhere. For me personally, that is so helpful because I am very not creative and I still draw the same way as I was a kid. And an example, artists who actually can draw pretty good, instead of spending a weekend to create a portrait like you saw earlier, boom, this is done in seconds. And a unique portrait which has never been used before, created by a big data set of images. AI creates it within seconds, and that is so amazing, because this stuff is very high quality. For just an NPC, you can, like within seconds, have a very cool, unique portrait to your liking. You decide with the prompt what you would like to see, and you know, it's really, really handy and convenient to use AI art to enhance your D&D experience. So as you can see, I use AI art for pretty much anything. Villains, good guys, NPCs, environments, weapons, items, anything I can think of I can create via AI, and that's a wonderful, wonderful thing. One last thing which we can create via AI images. Do you remember we talked about town maps and other stuff earlier? Well, funny thing is you can create those things via AI as well. Just use a good prompt, what you would like to see, and yeah, you can have results like this, which is really a lot of fun. Sometimes it's not super 100% perfect, but hey, you have Photoshop to edit out things. And an example, I used this town map, which I have created via AI, at least the background, and just with some Photoshop I did add point of interest, a town name, and boom, you have something really which looks really convincing, and it helps a lot with the players in the campaign. And save the best for last. 2 years ago, a wonderful tool on Steam named Dungeon Alchemist was released. It is still in beta now, but wow, this tool made my life so much easier. And even while it is in beta, it is like Todd Howard says,
it just works.
Instead of Fallout 76, it just works. It works perfectly fine out of the box. It is such an amazing tool, and you know, with this tool you can create pretty much anything when it comes to D&D maps. Indoor maps, outdoor maps, forests, dungeons, castles, you name it, as crazy as you want, you can create it with this tool, with grids, with everything you want in D&D. So you can either print these things directly to A3, A4, A2 paper style, or use them directly in digital environments like Roll20 or Foundry, and they can be exported with lighting, walls, all those kind of things. You can import it one-to-one and it works perfectly fine. You know, it saves me so much time, and for that was pretty much the inspiration why I wanted to create this video, Dungeon Alchemist. I would say let's jump into Dungeon Alchemist to show you a little bit what you can create with this wonderful tool. So welcome to Dungeon Alchemist. It's a tool, like I said, which is available on Steam, and it can help via AI creation tools to create really unique, cool looking maps which you can use for your own campaign. So I did open this pre-made map by someone else, because there is like a Steam Workshop section available where you can like browse and search for already pre-made maps, which is really helpful. But I would say let's just start by creating something ourselves. So like I said, if you use Roll20 or Foundry, you will have a digital board with pretty much unlimited space. But you might play D&D like the conventional way with pen and paper. In that case, you can use relatively easy here, use the paper standards you use for printing like A2, A3, A4, and create something according to that. So an example, I would say for this little demo, let's create maybe like a small chapel in the forest, something like that. And what you can do here is first start with all kind of terrain stuff, so like snow, jungle, grasslands, forest, desert, anything you like. So I would say let's randomly generate a forest, because this is what the tool can do via AI. It will randomly generate something. And an example, you can like pick what you want. Would you like snowy weather with this? What kind of type of forest, but we can change this later. Do we want water? Well, maybe we can let a river flow through this map, and water level, yeah, it should be like this. So if I click create, it will randomly generate a terrain like this. This is unique for all the things we create. An example, if we would do it again, create a new map, exactly the same things with a river, blah blah blah, boom, we have a different kind of map, just like that. Works, like Todd Howard says, it just works perfectly fine. So how can we create things via AI? So an example, I want to create a little chapel here for the players, you know, to visit in the forest. It's relatively easy. We go to draw room. An example, we want a abandoned ruin. We want a chapel. And we can create it just like The Sims or like Dungeon Keeper. Just use drag and drop, create something like this. And boom, here we have a chapel. And an example, if I would like to have a bridge for this, I can search via all these items via bridge. And I can have like this stone bridge. And I can use it to connect these two paths over the river. So let's try to be like the Bob Ross here via Dungeon Alchemist. Let's remove some of these trees, and maybe what I can do here is create a path. You know, like if the players would go through the forest, they would use like this forest path. Let's make it a little bit smaller. Something like this maybe, yeah. So let's just make a path here. And let's increase the brush strength a little bit better. So an example here, there would be a path. And let's move or delete these trees a little bit. And this is the way like you can play with Dungeon Alchemist. Very easily create something unique. Again, via AI. So to finish this little unique scene, we can do something like this, you know, and I would say, yeah, so this would be like the official path for these for this small map. So what I usually do is I remove objects because I want to place the trees and all the stuff myself and the forest bushes. However, these kind of things look cool. So let's do it like this. All right, so what I usually do is then it's instead of manually picking tree by tree, you can use a forest painter, an example, or use an object painter, I should say. An example, because if I only want these kind of trees, I can do that. And let's see. Oh, that's a little bit overdone maybe. Let's do it like this. A little bit more density, something like this. So an example, if I want to have this lush green forest, if I would prefer it more, then I can use these trees. And here, as you can see, I can paint a forest just like it is now. To have a little bit more variation, I can use these forest bushes, an example, to show that the world is still vegetation underneath all these trees. So an example, let's paint it like this a little bit. That there is overgrown area here, just like that, relatively easy. And then we can drag and drop these items here, which we can put that on the ground here. We can duplicate these plants which sometimes grow at the bottom of a river. Same applies for woods. An example, if I can add a log here at the bottom of the river. And let's move these forest bushes a little bit out of the way. So we have something like this. All right, and maybe put this here. So this chapel has been created via AI. This looks actually pretty cool, but an example, if I want to have a different interface, I can like redo it to something completely else. And every time you do have a unique room. So just like this, you know, let's see, is this something we could present? Or would you guys say we need to add something more? Maybe a little bit more rock formations in the water, an example here to make it a bit more vivid and lively. But yeah, something like this, you know, this would be a truly unique map. And if you would print it like this, you have a unique map. You can add the you can add the grid, so you can, when you print it, use this directly for your play session. And yeah, it's just really easy to create something unique with this tool. So yeah, it's relatively expensive-ish. I think it's like 35 euros, 37. But what I would recommend if you want to purchase it with your group, you know, split it via 4 or 5 men, depending how many players your group has. And then, an example, you can, yeah, you know, create like a dummy account for your for Steam for the DM. So if you have like a DM role in your group which gets swapped all the time, then create a shared Steam account, and if everyone just spends like 5 or 6 euros or dollars, then you know you will have such an easy to use tool which makes the world of D&D so much easier, you know, with creation of maps, and especially if you use it digitally in Roll20 or Foundry. You know, everything will be imported directly, lights, walls, etc, etc. As a matter of fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to export this little map, and I'm going to show you how it will look once it has been imported in a digital environment like Foundry. Alright, so an example, this is the digital environment of Foundry. And this is how it would look if I would export this little chapel map. So this is a character, you know, a test character I did create, Sarian. And an example, this is what the group would see. Because I removed like the vision to the windows because I don't want the character to see what's going in happen here. So what you really have for feeling is that the character walks into a forest, you know, they maybe want to cross the bridge or try to get past the river, you know, just like any D&D. And the character would try to sneak here inside and tries to open the door. So he does that, boom, he gets ambushed by 4 kobolds which are here in the chapel. So it's a very small example, but really shows the big potential that that Dungeon Alchemist has. You have so many directions to create things that makes things so much easier, especially digitally. You know, you have walls, lighting has been done automatically, you can easily switch through nighttime and daytime, and it works really, really well. So I hope you like this small example of what Dungeon Alchemist can do. And for the rest, I would say check out the links in the video description if you would like to check out some things yourself. And most of all, I am really curious to hear about your experiences. What kind of tools do you use for D&D? And especially what kind of AI tools do you really recommend for, you know, improvement of the D&D sessions? That's pretty much it. If you would like to see me creating more maps in Dungeon Alchemist, let me know, and hopefully see you at one of the next videos. So take care and bye bye.